Hello and welcome back to Mystery Shots. A woman was found unconscious on the concrete floor. Her finger is bloody, and her shoes are still red and stained with dried blood. Given her circumstances, she appears to be relatively injured. We are shown clips of high waves crashing to the shore at the same time. The crash creates a terrifying roaring noise that reverberates throughout the area. The woman is asleep, but the noise rings in her ears and eventually wakes her up from her unconscious state. At first sight, she sees nothing but concrete and feels confused. She moves for the first time and finds herself in the worst position any woman could be in. She is on the edge of a curved structure at a great height. Below the structure is nothing but deep darkness. If she makes one wrong move and falls off the edge, she will die. In addition to that, the position she's in doesn't help her to move. Her left leg is folded under her body with no way to bring it out. When the woman first sees the edge, she freaks out as expected and tries to retreat. However, the movement only serves to slide her further below. Fortunately for her, she does not fall off just yet. However, it is fairly obvious that it is only a matter of time before she does. The slide causes her left leg to move upwards, severely injuring her. Her palms are also scraped as a result of the rough and hard concrete. Her breath rises as she silently prays for her life, despite the fact that her chances of survival are slim. Following that, we see a full view of the structure she's trapped in, which appears to be a hydropower plant, even though she manages to get far enough away from the edge. The solid wall behind her prevents her from attempting to escape. But, for the time being, the wall is the least of her worries. She hears a loud horn, blowing from darkness below. The noise startles her, making the fall even more terrifying. For a brief moment, she rationalizes that the noise is caused by the wind. The information relieves her slightly until a louder roar can be heard seconds later. The woman screams in frustration as she looks up at the sky, and then everything falls silent. The only thing she can hear is her rapid breathing and the voices in her head telling her that she will survive one way or another. She is aware that remaining motionless will eventually kill her. She is also aware that moving could kill her instantly, but she is willing to take the risk. After taking a few deep breaths to calm herself, she secures her hands and right leg in the concrete and attempts to turn herself around. Her plan backfires when she slides further down and is now on the absolute edge of the curve. She holds herself down, trying to remain calm. She realizes after a few seconds that she must abandon her attempt to straighten her leg. She can only get away from the edge by pulling herself up in the exact position she's in, but the slide has made her 10 times weaker. Her palms are now swollen and bleeding profusely. After being scraped, she holds her right hand up and separates 2 blood-stained fingers, then dries the blood in her jacket, so her palm wouldn't slide when she attempts to go up again. Even the drying process is excruciatingly painful, but she endures it bravely. After that, she blows on the wounds, longing for some relief. Her blows are weak because she is afraid of making the wrong move and falling to her death. After contemplating the next move for a considerable amount of time, she finally puts her uninjured leg up. Her bloodied palms push down on the concrete curve as she rises in a painful arc of motion. Fortunately for her, the plan works this time, and she makes a few centimeters of progress, and she continues to take longer breaths to calm herself. Because of the pain, her palms have become almost numb. She still puts them up one by one and blows on them. She doesn't hesitate before repeating the move and climbing higher. The woman eventually begins to hallucinate. Her body appears to be missing in her vision as she sees the blood prints on the curve below. She begins to hyperventilate as she looks at her palm and then back to the blood print. She is now the furthest away from the edge, with an upright wall behind her. It is obvious that she cannot climb up in any condition, but in a panic, she does not rationalize her next move and attempts to climb. Yet again, she is soon met with the consequences of her hastiness when she slides down a little. Her hallucinations become more severe as she panics. When she looks down, she notices the prints of blood growing longer. She tries to stand up again, but stops when she hears a loud noise when she looks back at the prints. She notices that 2 more have been added recently. Her only options are to either wait for her inevitable death or make a move and die sooner in her head. Something tells her that if she keeps doing what she's doing, she'll be fine. The erroneous motivation demonstrates that her brain is failing to recognize the gravity of the situation. After all, she is not expected to think clearly in this situation. The only problem is that her will to survive might make her fall to her doom earlier than she expected. And everyone else in her place would have given up by now. She bravely puts her palm up and blows on it, ready to push herself up yet again. In a split second, she slides back down a few centimeters or so, the woman in no position to lose the progress she has made with great motivation. Her panic grows in tandem with her hallucination. She looks down at the prints for the third time, only to notice how much they've grown. A screech can be heard in the background. The woman compares the noise to her death, which she believes is calling her from the darkness below the ledge. Her palms are ruined by this point and she barely has any skin left to scrape. The sky mocks her and roars at her agony, but the woman doesn't seem to care. It begins to rain heavily, compounding her problems. She is unsure whether the odds are working against her or in her favor. The rain may alleviate her suffering by killing her sooner, or it may aggravate her suffering by destroying her chances of survival. She enjoys the droplets hitting her face for the first few seconds, even if it is only for a few seconds. She feels at ease as if the curve is her home and she has lived there since the beginning of time. But her pleasure is short-lived. As the water lubricates the surface and slides her down, the woman closes her eyes and clenches. Her teeth were still brimming with the fire of survival. She lets out a loud scream, but it pales in comparison to the thunderous clouds. Then she remembers she's wearing a chain necklace, which might help her maintain the curve for a longer period of time. She grabs it around her wrist and pulls it away from her neck. Even with the chain on, her hand slides down slowly. She came to the edge and could not hold onto the concrete. It's been almost 7 hours of pain and misery, and rain only made things further worse. She gives up eventually and slides down into darkness. But we can see that she fell only 3 feet and she was jailed in an optical illusion of painted walls and she was safe along. It was an experiment of creating a terrifying atmosphere and understanding human survival instinct in life and death situations. What would you have done if you were in such a situation? Tell us in the comments. Like and comment your thoughts about this mystery shot. And don't forget to subscribe Mystery Shots for more such content.